guys have your Bible with you, you can follow me to Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4. We're going to be reading the story of Cain and Abel. I'll give you guys the title a little later. Title to the message, right? And if you don't have your Bible, it's cool. Just listen along, all right, with your ears. Sometimes I listen better with my ears than to actually look at the actual Bible. You know what I mean? It's not that I don't want to read. It's not that I don't want to follow along, but I listen better with my ears. You know, even with my eyes closed. And there's people that do that in the service or here. You can do that here. It says Genesis chapter 4. I'm going to be reading verses 1 all the way to 7. It says, "Then Adam had intercourse with his wife, and she became pregnant. She bore a son and said, 'By the Lord's help, I have gotten a son.' So she named him Cain. Later she gave birth to another son, Abel. Abel became a shepherd, but Cain was a farmer. After some time, Cain brought some of his harvest and gave it as an offering to the Lord. Then Abel brought the first lamb born to one of his sheep, killed it, and gave it as the best parts of it as an offering to the Lord. The Lord was pleased with Abel and his offering, but he rejected Cain and his offering. Cain became furious, and he scowled in anger. Then the Lord said to Cain, 'Why are you so angry? Why that scowl on your face? If you had done the right thing, you would be smiling. But because you have done evil, sin is crouching at your door. It wants to rule you, but you must overcome it.'" So right here we got two brothers, and they knew about the Lord. Just like the youth here, and the majority of the youth on this earth knows about God. They know God exists. They know the history of what he did here on earth, that he came here and died for our sins, that he gave his life for our sins. They know about his awesomeness. They know about his creations. They know about everything he blesses us with. Anything so small and insignificant, from a cup of coffee to your plate of food, to the sun, the stars, the rain, everything that God has blessed us with, we know that that comes from a creator. That just doesn't come from the Big Bang or from some other theory that people try to give. That comes from someone who created life with a purpose and meaning. That's an awesome God. You know? And as much as our flesh does not want to believe in it, because our flesh wants to be its own God, and it doesn't want to know about a God that has established rules here on earth, God is real. He's real. And it's not that God hates the fact that we want to live our own lives. No, He's pleased with us doing things the right way, the way He established them for us to live. The natural way. You know? He loves it when a man marries a woman, or when a woman marries a man. He loves it when they enjoy each other and they have kids. He loves it when people multiply. He loves it when people give Him honor, when people recognize Him as God. But He doesn't need for us to give Him honor or to recognize Him. He doesn't need that. He's God. You know? You think about the potter. The potter, you guys know that thing where the potter sits down and he's making with the clay, the base, where he's in full control. It's in his control to destroy it and start all over again. And that's what we are. We're clay, we're dust. You know? And the awesome thing about the potter, which is God, is that He gave us, the dust, the clay, the opportunity to be masters of our own life, conductors of our own lives. That's the awesome thing about our potter. Something that we don't even do with our own kids. We want to be in control of their lives. Or our family members, or maybe a girl in a relationship with a guy. She wants to be the master of the relationship, or a guy, vice versa. You know what I mean? But God gave us the free will of choice. We can do whatever it is we please with the body that belongs to Him, with the time that belongs to Him. Everything belongs to Him. But at the end of the day, He gave us the choice to do what we want with it. That is an awesome God. You know what I mean? He gave us the clay, dominion over all things on earth. us the clay. Think about that. He gave the dust, we're dust, the opportunity to do what we please with our own lives. You know? And I'm pretty sure he wants to do the best things, the good things, the right things that benefit him, no, that benefit us. You know? The things that he wants us to do is things that benefit us. They benefit us. You think we injure God by our sin and our disobedience? No, we injure ourselves. We destroy ourselves. We don't destroy him because he's indestructible. We don't injure him. No, we sat in him. You know? We sat in him. Just like a parent and a disobedient child. You think it's just that the parent wants to have, there's some parents out there that, yeah, they do, but they want to have full control, and that's the satisfaction that they're in control. No, they want their child to progress. You know what I mean? To do good in life. For their own good. For their own good. It's the same God, the same thing, the same mentality that God has for us. And he created us to give him honor and glory. And the awesome thing about this, guys, is that we have the choice to make the decision in our lives. That's an awesome God, guys. When we look at the story of Cain and Abel, they knew about God. And in the Old Testament, they were required to have sacrifices. Of course, the sacrifices that were established by the laws were not given yet, because this was really the beginning. But we know that the first sacrifice that was given on earth was the sacrifice that God made to give Adam and Eve their clothing. Remember? He gave them clothing pretty much from an animal skin. That was the first sacrifice that was ever made. When he gave Adam and Eve their clothing. Down the road, a sacrifice was required for the disobedience, for the sins, for the cleansing of the sins for our disobedience, right? From our aunt, from our, how can I say, ancestors? Or is that how would you say it? Right? For the disobedience. Trust me, if we were in their shoes, we probably would have done the same thing. But we see right here that Abel and Cain brought a sacrifice before the Lord. Cain brought one of his harvests, because he was a farmer, and he gave it as an offering to the Lord. He brought whatever it is his trade was, he gave an offering to God. He did give an offering. It doesn't say that he didn't give one. You know, he did go give an offering. And also Abel. You know what I mean? Because Abel gave the best of his flock, the firstborn, the very best of the flock. You know, without defects. They both gave something. Just like there could be two people here bringing sacrifice today. Both of you guys are giving a sacrifice. You know, you could be clapping and worshiping the Lord. You could be paying attention. But that doesn't mean that both of you guys are giving an equal sacrifice before the Lord. Because we know that in Proverbs 16:2 it says, all the ways of man are clean in his own sight. In our own sight, our sacrifices might be clean. They might be right. It says, but the Lord weighs the motives. And I know that the Lord was seeing the motives of both these men that were offering a sacrifice to him. They both brought a sacrifice. Just like all of us could be bringing a sacrifice today. But the Lord weighs the motives. And motives is a reason for doing something. Especially one that is hidden or not obvious. Basis, purpose, intention, design. What are your motives for giving a sacrifice today? I want you to ask yourself that today. What are your motives for being in this class? What are your motives to listening to the word of the Lord? What are your motives? What are your intentions? Is it true that you're grateful for what the Lord did for you and it's out of plain gratitude? Or is it just that you're afraid of going to hell? Or is it just that you don't have nothing to do? What are your motives? What are your intentions behind all this? Or is it just that you want to prosper in life and that you think this is the key for success? God knows those motives, guys. He knows why you're doing all this. He knows why you bend your knee. He knows why you worship him. He knows the true intention, the true motive behind all of this. Intention, aim or plan, goal, target, objective. What drives your intention to worship God? Because he knows the true intention. What drives your intention? Is it just because you're afraid of going to hell? And that's not genuine. Because we're all afraid of going to hell. We don't like to pay consequence. You know? I'm sorry to tell you, but you haven't seen what Jesus did for you. If those are your intentions, if those are your motives. Is it just because you're afraid that if you stop coming to church, God's not going to bless you no more? You're not going to succeed in life? I'm sorry to tell you, your motives are twisted and distorted. That's something that you got to ask yourself today. And I don't know if I'm preaching to someone here today or I'm not. Maybe you guys are too young to think about that, or some of you guys don't flat out care. But you got to ask yourself, am I doing this wholehearted? God asked Cain. He said, hey, why are you angry? Why are you upset? It says right here, why that scowl on your face? If you had done the right thing, you would be smiling, but because you have done evil, sin is crouching at your door. It doesn't describe in what way Cain gave that offering. It describes how Abel gave it. Abel gave the very best. He gave the very best. And I want to ask you one thing this morning, guys. What can the clay give to the potter? What can the dust give to the maker? And that's what we are, we're clay. What can we give to the maker of time? What time can we give to him if it's his? What words can we give to him if they belong to him? What can we offer him? What word, what good deed can we do to satisfy the one that gives us everything? Honestly, come on. Think about it. What can you give to him? We know that in the Bible, King Saul was also doing things for the Lord, but he did one thing. One thing. And he didn't listen to the word of the prophet Samuel. And then what did Samuel tell him? Obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And when we're obedient to the word of the Lord, that is way better than clapping, dancing. That is way better than worshiping with our hands up. When we are obedient, and then we do all those things, that's an awesome thing before the Lord. That is a genuine sacrifice. When we're obedient to his word, even though he gave us dominion over everything, when we have a free will and a free choice, but when we are obedient to the Spirit, you know what I mean? And if our intentions are being driven by our heart, then we are in trouble. Because our heart is wicked. It is desperately wicked. You know what I mean? It's so sick. It doesn't have no remedy. The only remedy is God himself. And not by the Spirit, then our intentions are going to be completely distorted. Jeremiah 17:10 says, the Lord searches the heart, and I test the mind. He knows the motive. He knows the intentions. So worry more about not the outer, not the appearance, not the worship. Worry more about the heart, what's inside. Ask the Lord to circumcise your heart. Ask him to circumcise your heart. And if you don't know what circumcise means, that's homework for you guys. Look it up. Ask him to circumcise your heart, to change your heart, and then all your intentions and all your motives are going to be true and genuine. All the sacrifices are going to be true and genuine. Right? We're about to finish, guys. But I want to talk about one thing. And we love the best. We love getting great deals. Right? We love getting expensive stuff for awesome prices. We love not to pay the original price. Who likes to pay the original price? None of us. We love getting an awesome deal from a car to clothing to anything. We love it. You know what I mean? But there's something called cheap. And cheap is an item for sale at low in price, worth more than it costs. We love that. We look up the reviews to restaurants. We look up the reviews to certain things we buy. We love getting awesome deals, but we don't like to pay the price, the original price, for the deals that we get. Or maybe I'm alone on this boat. But guys, I would like for you guys to follow me to Hebrews. Chapter 10. We're getting close to the very end. And I am just amazed. I'm just amazed, man, at how much time we waste, including myself. We waste so much time on nonsense. On nonsense. We're so cheap. You know, Hebrews chapter 10. And this message is for me. You know, this is things that I'm passing. I'm not bashing on nobody today. You know? It says, right here in verse 26, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. For the Lord is no longer any sacrifice that will take away sins. For there is no longer any sacrifice that will take away sins if we purposely go on sinning after the truth has been made known to us. Instead, all that is left is to wait in fear of the coming judgment and the fierce fire which will destroy those who oppose God. Anyone who disobeys the law of Moses is put to death without mercy when judged guilty from the evidence of 2 or more witnesses. But then this is right here, verse 29 is awesome, guys. You know what I mean? What then of those who despise the Son of God? God already died for us. Abel and Cain, they didn't have the Son of God yet. He was coming, but they didn't have the sacrifice. It hadn't physically taken place yet. And we do. We have that sacrifice already. They didn't have it yet. It's written for us. Right? It says, who treat as cheap thing the blood of God's covenant, which purified them from sin, who sought the Spirit of grace. God gave us nothing but grace. But when we treat the sacrifice of the Lord like common thing, like everything else here on that we do here on earth, and treat it as something so cheap and common, you know what I mean? It says, cheap thing, the blood of God's covenant, which purified them from sin. We're purified through the sacrifice, God, who insulted the Spirit of grace. Just think how much worse it is the punishment that they will deserve. The sacrifice that God gave to us, that is awesome. But when we treat it cheap and common, and we don't want to pay the price it deserves, that's something we have to worry about. We want to receive a salvation that He did give it to us for free. We want to receive all the benefits of God, that He's blessed us with Him, that by His stripes we are healed. He was bruised for our iniquities. You know what I mean? We want to receive all of that for a cheap price, a low-cost price, but it's worth more than that. And how do we know it? Because we're so cheap with our time. We're so cheap with our dedication to the Lord. We're cheap with our time. We invest so much time in school, so much time in study, so much time in work. We invest so much time in movies and a waste of time. We invest so much time in our lives. And then we want to be real cheap with the time we dedicate to God. And we want to receive the full benefits of that sacrifice. Which there's nothing we can do for that. It's just through faith. It's something He's given us. But we're so cheap. That's something to think about. Let's not be cheapskates with the Lord, with the things of the Lord. There's people that say, oh, I don't have to go to church. I can just do it at home. Honestly, please. You're being fruitful. You sit there and you dedicate full time and attention. And then what is your reason for not wanting to come to church? Because you can't submit, to an order, to an establishment. If you can't submit to an order and an establishment, something you can see in the physical, and trust me, you can't submit to God who you cannot see. It doesn't make no sense. But the wicked heart fools us and deceives us to think with that mentality. Maybe I'm preaching too hard. But I'm just preaching the truth. Real quick before we finish. I'm not very good at math. Right? But I wrote it down. Right? I was thinking about what that preacher said when he came to visit us. But 2 times 4 is what? 8. Right? 8 equals, and then 8 times 12 is what? I don't know.
96.
Oh man, come on little man. Alright, 96. Alright? So that's 96 hours. 2 times 4, I'm doing 2, that's a lot. Leave out all the rest of the stuff. That's 2 hours on a Sunday. And a lot of us don't even do 2 hours of full commitment here on a Sunday. We might do like 20 minutes max, because our minds are somewhere else. And we're thinking about other things. I put 2 hours times, right? 4 Sundays, that's 1 month. It's 8 hours that you come to church in 1 month. And in 8 hours, in a whole year, you come to a total of 96 hours that you come in a year, right? And then 96 divided by 24, which is 24 hours in a day, right? Equals, what is that? 4? 4 days, right? And then 4 days times 10 years equals 40 days. So if you come to church and you're committed to 2 hours of full commitment to the Lord, 2 hours, once a Sunday, in 10 years, you would have come 40 days to church.
4 days and 40 minutes.
40 days to church in 10 years. And some of you guys don't even give that to the Lord. And the Lord gives you so many hours, so many seconds, so many time. He gives you so much in abundance. And in 10 years, you would dedicate, if you're really committed to 2 hours, just one day out of the week, you would be up to 40 days. And then multiply that by 70 years. You know, you'd probably be in church for 10, 11 months, like the guy said. You come to church, commitment for 1 hour, it'd be 11 months. And we're so cheap at that time. But what he did for us? And we're living more in the flesh, guys. No, we're on the spirit. You know? Let's not treat the sacrifice like something common. Right? Let's give it the value that it deserves and not treat it like something common and cheap. Let's not be cheapskates with the sacrifice. Alright? Let's give him a sacrifice wholeheartedly. Let's give him the beginning of everything he blesses us with. Just like Abel gave to the Lord. He gave him the best. If you're going to give him 30 minutes, give him the best 30 minutes you're ever going to give the Lord. Not with your phone right there, disconnect yourself. Give him the best. If you're going to give him an hour, give him the best hour that you're going to give to him. Just think about it. What can clay give to the potter? You know? And let that be accompanied by obedience to his word. Not just ritual. Not just religion. You know? Let that be accompanied with obedience to his word. And it's going to be an awesome sacrifice before God Almighty. All right, guys? I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you guys for coming out.